Hi everybody, welcome back to the online conversation Keeping Up With. Today I'll be keeping up with singer-songwriter Jamelia, who is also the host of Jamelia's Table. I'm super excited to be interviewing Jamelia today. She has been on my to-do list for a very long time, so I hope that you guys are excited just as much as I am. So we're going to wait for Jamelia to join us, but please leave in the comments how you guys are feeling. Are you excited? Hello.
Hi, Shar.
How are you?
I'm a little bit flustered, I'm not gonna lie. I thought we were starting at 7:30, and then my daughter just said it's 7 o'clock. So
okay,
but I'm here now.
Do you want to start at 7:30? It's okay if you want to start. Are you sure?
No, I'm here. I'm just gonna apologize for being late.
It's okay, it's all right. Take your time, get comfortable, get some water if you need to.
We're good.
You sure?
How are you?
Perfect. Oh, I'm really well, thank you. I'm good. I'm excited. I mean, I'm actually flustered myself. I feel quite hot. But no, I'm really good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So, funnily enough, I've just finished therapy. So
wow.
1 second. Sorry, my husband asking.
Okay.
No, babe, I'll have it after. Sorry.
It's all right. No worries. Get
Offer me food.
So, Jamelia, I just want to say a big thank you for allowing me to interview you on such an important topic to me. I've been a fan of yours for a very long time, so it's an honor.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Let's create some good conversations.
Yes.
So get comfortable, get excited. So congratulations on your journal, your hair journal.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
How is that going for you?
Do you know what? It's going really well, way better than I expected to. So it was just an idea that I had during lockdown. I've been having some health problems over lockdown, and so on top of the anxieties associated with lockdown, I've been struggling with my health, and at one point, at 2 points actually, I was bedridden for almost a month, and the second time I was just like, you know what, I can't just sit here doing nothing. I find it very hard to relax and to be idle. And so I decided to make the journal. I love kind of bullet journaling, but I don't always have the time to create brand new spreads. And so I had this idea to create the natural hair journal, and then I was like, why don't I share it? Why don't I, make it available to other people as well? And people have bought it, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
Wow. Sorry to hear about you being bedbound and having health difficulties during COVID.
Oh, thank you.
But the blessing from that is your journal. So that's a good thing.
Definitely.
That's a good thing that you've been able to do that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How have you been, Jamelia, during COVID? How have things been with yourself?
So, true transparency, I started off COVID in a much worse, I keep calling it COVID, lockdown, in a much worse mental state than I am now. I don't know if this would be something really interesting to talk about, but I was really hit very badly by the breakup of two very close friendships that I had, and I think I was really sidelined by it. I never expected to feel that way about losing friends. I've heard about kind of romantic heartbreak, but not friendship heartbreak. And so that just kind of knocked me for six. So I was in a really not the greatest kind of mental space, and I was still dealing with that. And I think when you're going through like a trauma or a heartbreak, as women, we've got all these other things that we have to continue doing. And if you work, I still have to go out there and show my face and be all shiny, when I didn't really feel like that inside. But then lockdown happened, and it was kind of like a forced reflection and a forced kind of slow down, take some time. And then on top of that, I was sick, and it was just kind of like, do you know what? there's a lot of positive in it, and I feel in such a fantastic space now, and I feel, you know, not I don't feel fortunate to have had the breakup, but more, I think more the time to reflect and the time to kind of step back, and, you know, I feel like we've been blessed with time to think, and to be slow, you know, to slow down, should I say? Yeah,
definitely. I definitely agree with what you said about having that time to just slow down and kind of like be at peace with ourselves. And it's very interesting what you said about friendship, and, you know, it's similar to relationship heartbreak, because essentially your friends are someone who, you know, are very close to you, you confide in. So it's very similar, but obviously there's differences. And that is not often spoken about, you know, when you start talking to friends. It's not.
And
so
I
thank you for sharing
as well. It's to the point, like, it's something that I'm definitely talking about this on the table, because I don't know if it's a mixture of, did I take my friendships for granted, or have I never heard, I don't even think I've heard of anyone speaking of a friendship breakup, you know, and it hit me really hard. It hit me really hard, and I think I was very shocked by just by how I felt.
Definitely. And like you said, we don't really hear about friendship breakups. We mostly hear about, obviously, relationship breakups, but it is something that we actually go through, and it is, you know what, I would say it is heartbreaking. It is actually heartbreaking when you break up from a friendship, because it's you know, it's unexpected, especially when it's a close friend or close friends to you. So definitely bring that to your table. That'd be very interesting.
And the thing is as well, it's like, it actually started around the same, like the whole breakdown happened, or breakup happened, the same day that I released the table, and so it's been almost a year, and so, you know, but it's taken me all that time to get here where I am now. And, you know, I'm in a fantastic space now, but even just navigating life without these friends that I've had, you know, forever.
And would you mind if I asked you, how did you manage? So what were your kind of coping mechanisms from managing with this friendship breakup?
I think it's no coincidence that I had health issues as well after this point. I feel like the health issues were a result of, like, stress and internal turmoil. I really do. I really do. And I kind of feel like the best thing was to slow down. I know this is going to sound so kind of arty-farty or whatever, but I find getting out into nature, like, you know, being with plants and flowers and stuff, going on nature walks, and even sometimes feeling the rain, like, for me, I can't, it really has like a restorative power. It really it's kind of like a reset button. And so even just, I definitely feel like having like some sort of schedule and really being intentional about my day. So when I wake up, I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to go and sit outside and read a book or have a cup of tea. These are things that they've become non-negotiables to me. And not only that, I think it's the communication with my family as well, and letting them know. I've got children as well, so I've got 3 daughters and a son, and also being transparent with my children, and just to say, listen, mommy's going through this, and this is what's happening, and I know it's a bit wild, but you know, this is life right now. But also, you know, communicating with my husband and just letting him know I feel like this, and you know, I need your support, I need your help to get through it. And my family have been absolutely fantastic. But there's been a lot of planning as well, and intentional days, like, how do you spend your day, how do you spend your time? As I mentioned earlier, I'm not someone who's comfortable with being idle. I don't like just, you know, I can't explain it. I feel like I can't think of a better term, but I feel like a waste man. And so it's really hard for me to slow down, but slowing down did me some good. And even now that I'm kind of feeling a little bit more able and capable, I'm still reminded from time to time, remember what that feels like, remember what you need, remember to feed yourself. And when I say feed myself, I don't just mean food, I mean, you know, in my environment and my, you know, my relationships and my and food as well. But those things are all very, very important, and I'm very intentional now about providing myself with those things.
Yes, that sounds amazing, and I really got a healthy vibe from you, in the sense where you said you communicate how you feel with your children and your husband as well. And I think that's so important, because, you know, essentially that's your environment, and so if you're not feeling happy within your environment, then it will affect your environment. So having that healthy communication is so important. Which brings me back to your table. I did watch the episode where you spoke about your black women in mental health, and it was a great conversation. You had a great 3 panelists on there. There were so many points that I loved about that conversation, which I will share with you now. So I loved the fact that you were very open about what you struggled with your depression. I was very taken aback by that, because in people within the public eye, you don't really hear them, you know, speaking about what they've struggled with and how long they've struggled with that. So thank you for, you know, being so authentic with that. Yet again, you also shared that you speak to your children about mental health, and, you know, if you feel that they're struggling with their emotions, you will kind of sit them down and have a chat with them. And you also spoke about Black women in the mainstream not being our mental well-being not being spoken about enough. And I totally agree with all of that, because I do feel that as Black women, or even Black men, we're very, you know, we have that phrase of what happens in this house stays in this house. And so from that phrase, we kind of don't let any people in, and then it can affect us. Oh, you're back.
Sorry, something went wrong with my phone. I'm here.
So I was just saying, that phrase of what happens in this house stays in this house, and then you know, we then have trouble with speaking out and talking about our problems. And one last thing that was really inspiring was the fact that you said that your mother also struggled, but then she spoke to you, and then you were able to speak to your children. And that's amazing, because within the Black culture, transgenerational trauma is something that's very common that we speak about. So I know I spoke about a lot of topics there, but for yourself, how did it feel when your mum, you know, spoke to you about how she was struggling, and how did that kind of give you the confidence to speak to your children?
Well, honestly, the first time I had a conversation with my mom about it was when I was telling her about my depression. And I remember being like, what? Like, because I never knew, I was never aware of it. And she mentioned that, you know, she'd been given medication, and there were so many similarities in her story. She was given medication and chose not to take the medication, and chose to kind of, you know, explore more holistic avenues. And it was shocking, but it was also like, it was also permission, I guess, for me to now go and have the conversation with my own children, because I thought, I don't want them to have this conversation with me further down the line. I want them to know, this is what I experienced. You also, depression is hereditary. You can get it because, you know, particularly your mother, your maternal line. So I just thought, I have to have this conversation with them, just in case they can identify certain feelings or emotions. And my actually both of my girls have struggled with mental health issues, and I just feel so fortunate to provide an environment where it's okay to speak about it, where, you know, I can give them advice on seeking help. We have family therapy once a week, and that has been amazing, absolutely incredible. And yet, because it's that as well, that intergenerational trauma, I don't want that to continue. And our generation, we have to be, again, intentional about breaking these cycles. You know, I don't subscribe to, you know, don't air your dirty laundry out in public and stuff like that. The reason I speak out as someone in the public eye, it's very important to me, because I feel that not everyone gets given permission. Not everyone gets, and you don't have the permission, then you don't know that you can seek help, that you're not alone, that that what you experience is normal, that other people experience it too. And as someone in the public eye with a platform, I kind of feel like it's my responsibility and my duty, and especially as a Black woman, because we have it the worst. We have it more than anyone else, because we're dealing with more than anyone else. And I just feel like I'm doing a huge disservice if I'm sitting here dealing with these issues and not speaking about it. It's you know, partly it's therapeutic to me, for me, even when I start having conversations with other people and people are like, oh, that's me too, I've experienced that too. It's like, I'm not alone.
I'm not alone.
And I think that type of dialogue and that type of conversation is actually transformative and so important. And what I will say, particularly since doing the table, is funny, because it's like a huge kind of transition happened, because I lost two of my bona fides on the day that I released the table. But since the table was released, I've gained so many, really fruitful and, so many fantastic friendships and connections with incredible Black women who have kept me up. People in the comments, like, you have no idea how much of a difference it makes to just even hear that the table was received in the way that it was, and I believe wholeheartedly in the power of conversation. It's why I'm here today speaking to you. We need to have these conversations amongst ourselves and as a community, and I've been speaking about these things in mainstream media for years, for years and years, but it's like, do my people hear me? And I know that might seem, a little bit divisive, but it's like, nah, it's so important to me that Black women feel heard, feel seen, and don't feel alone. I don't even know. I don't even know if I answered your question.
No, you did. No, you did perfectly. And especially, like you said, you're in the public eye, and advocating for Black women, because we are not seen in the mainstream media. There are many things that our voices are not heard on, and particularly with mental health. And one thing that I do love about you is you are very opinionated, and what you say, although it may rub people the wrong way, you're saying truth, and some people don't like to hear the truth. And so when they hear the truth,
from Black women,
exactly, because then it portrays the strong Black woman kind of stereotype. So I would definitely say continue to advocate for us, and continue to have your platform and share, because what you're doing is amazing, and you are inspiring many people with your stories, your table. I love how you get your guests to bring something. I think that's a nice touch. It's very nice and personal.
And this is the thing, like, for me, it's kind of, the whole reason that I created the table was just like, we don't get the permission to speak and to be, and that portion of the show is very intentional. What are you bringing to the table? Because every single one of us has something to bring to the table, and for me, it's kind of like, how many more years should I stay in the entertainment industry that doesn't even believe we have anything to bring to the table, when really these conversations, we need to have them, and we need to have them now. And it's not about waiting until they're going to allow you to do your thing. Okay, to some people it might not be of the quality of, I don't know, your ITVs or your BBCs, but right now, if we've got to have the conversation, sat on a couple of rocks outside, then that's so be it. But we're going to have the conversations, and and it's really important to me, and that is symbolic as well as literal. It's what do you bring to the table? Because I know you bring something. I'm confident in every person that sits at the table that you have something to bring to it.
Definitely. We all like, it's even like when it comes to mental health. For me, I'm
Yeah.
confident that everybody has a story. Your story
Uh-huh.
may not be as traumatic as somebody else's, but
Yeah.
you have a story. And
Mm-hmm.
even for me, when I interview people, I even find that therapeutic for myself to
Yeah.
even, hear how do you take care of your mental health and what are the things that you're doing, and it even
Yeah.
helps me.
Yeah.
And like I said, black people, black women, black men in the mainstream, mental health is not often spoken about. There's not many authoritative figures in the mainstream media when it comes to either therapists or psychologists who are speaking on this topic for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I know there's one lady, I think if I pronounce her name wrong, is Angela. She's a psychologist. And
Okay.
she has spoken out on ITV just about mental health and providing tips.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
do have someone there, but we need
Yeah.
more women coming out. We
But
need
this is
more
it. Why
people.
should it only be one? Why should you
Exactly.
only
Yeah.
like if you're white, you can name 10 people doing this job like just like that. But as a black woman, because we need representation with our big selves, we also need and require representation. That's how we, we form our identities. That's how we, we understand that we belong. And I think particularly in Britain, it's kind of like we're swept under the carpet, and as long as you just don't make any noise, we'll let you stay. And it's just like, what, nah, because we got things to deal with as well. And and the work needs to take place now. We haven't got time. We haven't got time to wait, to be accepted and involved and included. Like, it's long.
Exactly. And even with the black culture and the black community, there's many generations where they've gone through different situations and different traumas. For example, the Windrush generation.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself today, us black women of today, we're the COVID generation, and
Yeah.
COVID
Yes.
has impacted us mentally, and there's trauma, and then with the Black Lives Matter and the killings, although that's been going on for many years, but it's still a part of the COVID
Of course.
experience,
Of
and so
course.
it's
Of
now
course.
is our time to kind of speak about these things and kind of not feel afraid, and represent
Absolutely.
people who may feel afraid, and just be that power
Yeah.
and be that voice.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
definitely,
Yeah.
I
And
100%
I
agree with
feel
that.
oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, I feel like, everyone, we were all going through COVID, the whole lockdown process, and as you said, the kind of emotional impact that had. But particularly with George Floyd, it was as if you just couldn't get away from it. So normally when we experience something like this, we're able to continue on, and we have other responsibilities and other jobs and other tasks that we need to complete. And so we can kind of get away from it, or at least kind of occupy our minds with something else. But this was very different. And I think that's why more people got involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. And whilst I think that was good for black people, I think it was a huge trauma. I think it was so traumatic for us. And for me, it got to a point, again, like I was having conversations with my daughters, and I was just like, do you know what? There's a point at which we have to just take a step back and say, I'm tired. Do you know what I mean? Let somebody else do the work. Like, I am tired. And it's difficult to do that, especially when you feel so much, when you just, you're emotionally, it's like you're charged, but it's like, but you're going to explode if you don't look after your own bubble and your own mental health. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't deal with it, but it's like, I definitely feel like it was the lockdown and George Floyd just kind of that it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. Yeah,
definitely. I think during that space, and even now, it kind of social media felt very, very heavy, in the sense where when I was logging in, it kind of felt like a very heavy, dark place to be in, and it was just like, it didn't even feel right, me being on social media. I was kind of a bit like, oh, do I go on social media? Do I not? I don't want to see no more images. I don't want to see no more videos.
Exactly.
Because that's actually mentally traumatizing for us to even
But
witness that.
black people are the only people we see getting killed on camera. You don't see anyone else being killed on camera. You don't see that being shown on the news. that is trauma, that is violence. And for me,
Mm.
like, if anyone ever tags me in anything like that, I tell them straight, like, do not, I have not watched the George Floyd video. I have not watched any of the Black Lives protests. I haven't, you know, and I know it may sound as if I'm taking myself away, but I'm Black every day. I'm Black every day. And no matter what as well, I can't get away from the facts. I know the facts. Like, you know, Jacob Blake, that happened the other day. It's traumatic. You know, I haven't seen anything. I don't know what he looks like, but I know, because you can't get away from it. And for me, and something that I've decided with my daughters is, let's focus on our joy. You know, let's because these things are going to happen, and it's not that we can't do anything about them, but it's just, it's just too heavy. It is too heavy to carry. And the thing is as well, in our household, we're a very communicative household, and so when something happens, we want to have a conversation about it, and we want to break it apart, and, you know, we want to kind of, and it was getting to the point where it was just like, you know, we're having conversations and everyone's crying, and it's like, okay, this is
not
too
healthy.
much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so even my feed on Instagram, I'm kind of people may have noticed. So I put up these 2 videos. One was Dear White People, one was Dear Black People. And I think since then I haven't put up anything on my like feed on Instagram. Nothing focusing on our pain. Like I for me, it's about you know, I want to focus on our joy, because we have things to be joyous about. We're alive. We, you know, we have opportunities, and I just kind of think I'm in no way ignoring or trying to minimize the awful things that are happening. You know, what's going on in America, it scares the life out of me. But at the same time, I feel there's an element of powerlessness, and it's like, why am I gonna rile myself up? And also, being someone with a platform, rile other people up as well. I don't want to feed that for anyone. So I'd rather, you know, put posts up about knives and forks and what elders should they go you know, like, and that's intentional. And I, you know, on my stories, I'll still kind of share kind of, you know, more political things, but I don't want, I just don't want to do it anymore. Yeah, it's about Black joy for me, and that's what I want to focus on.
Definitely. In relation to the cutlery, it is forks first. So it's forks first. It's not knives. It's not knives. It's forks.
Listen, so I'm just take your answer, because people just confuse me even more. But yeah, thank you. I'm just gonna take yours. It's still forks anyway. Like, I'm the woman of the house. What?
I love what you said about kind of bringing Black joy, because it's all about changing the narrative. Because essentially, you know, if we always focus on, you know, the negative and the trauma, then on a subconscious level, that's going to affect us mentally. And absolutely. I like what you said. It's not about, you know, projecting yourself away from the situation, or saying, or being quite cold about it, because we're Black every day. We can't not be Black. Like, it's in our DNA. I mean, I'm even doing this with my hands, but we're Black. Like, it's in us. We can't get away from that. So it's all about just, you know, changing the narrative, and just you know, bringing joy, showing joy, and showing people that, you know, although this is going on in the world, we still have things to be appreciative of and grateful of. Which is why I love these conversations, where we can just have healthy conversations about mental health, but still smile about it as well. Because it's healthy, you know. Mental health is not all about, you know, sitting in a corner with your head down and crying. It's about, you know, speaking and, you know, being like, I love that word, being intentional with your choices and your actions. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think even your words as well. Like, I used to say, you know, I used to say that I suffered with depression, and it's like, no, you know, I live with depression. I don't suffer with it. Do you know what I mean? I live with it, and you know, it's something that exists. It's a part of me, but it's no different to, you know, having a physical ailment that you live with. You know, something that is just, you know, it's evident and it's apparent, and sometimes it's you know, it's painful, and sometimes it's not. But again, it's I think for me, having children, it makes me very wary of the language that I use, and how I shape mental health. Um,
Mhm.
and I've always been very intentional about how we discuss mental health as well. So same way, if you tell me that, you know, your hips been hurting for 3 days, then it's like, you know, maybe we should go to the doctors and check it out, and maybe da 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 da. And it's the same if you tell me, you know, I've been feeling really down for an extended period of time, and da 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 da.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
you know, maybe we should go to
Maybe,
the
yeah.
doctors and speak about it. Do you know what I mean? It's not
Mhm.
no, none of those existences, or none of those situations are any more important or out there than the other. It's just, to me,
Mhm.
it's just health. You know, it's part of your
Yes.
health. And um
100%.
and for me, you know, I'm very, very big on changing narratives and changing the way that we frame things. And the best place to start is with our children. You know, any child
Mm.
that you are around, you know, what are you saying around them? What, because to me,
Yes.
every word that you say around a child is literally sucked up
Yeah.
like a sponge. And it's like, what, how are you contributing to this child? And you know, I want to be a positive contribution to any child that I'm around. So yeah, I'm very careful about the things that I say. Yeah.
Definitely. I love how you mentioned about changing the narrative, but also
Mm.
about health is health, you
Yeah.
know, and we have
Yeah.
so many elements to our health. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel that within the Black culture, I feel
Mm.
that we can sometimes feel a bit scared, in the sense where if we go to the GP, we're going to be either prescribed medication, or we're either going to be given something or told something that's
Yeah.
against our will.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, it's very important, you know, if you were physically unwell, you would go to your GP without fail. It's the norm,
Yeah.
you know, you go to your
Yeah.
GP. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's all about changing the narrative. And if you're feeling mentally unwell as well, just go
Yeah.
to your GP, because there are services
Absolutely.
out there that can help you.
Listen, we are paying for them to help us. Like, it's
Oh,
not, you
yeah.
know, this is the thing. People, you
Yes.
know, we you know, as British people, it's always like, oh, you know, it's free, it's free. It's not free. You pay
Mm,
with your taxes, so we're
exactly.
paying for this service. And you see me, I'll go to the doctors every day for a week until you help me. Like, because
Mm,
do you know what I mean? It's, and for me as well, I think, you know, it's also being knowledgeable as well and doing your
mm,
research. So we know that,
yes.
you know, Black people are treated differently in the GP surgery or in the medical field. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
know that we're going to be believed less, but that's your business. So go there 3 times. Like, to me,
Mm,
it's kind of, you know, it's terrible, but we live in England, and at some stage we have to be aware and act like we live in England, and things aren't fair and it's not right, but at the same time I still need help in this moment. Like,
mm-hmm.
you know, even the medical issue that I'm having at the moment, I had to go back several times, and it was like, listen, I'm telling you, because I know every time I go, you have to write this down and it has to be documented.
Mm,
I've been back this amount of time, so you have to do something about it. So I do think that we have to navigate the medical space differently as Black people,
mm.
but we live in England, and you know, if I guess if we want to be treated differently, then, you know, does only to sound like a racist, go back to our own country, you know. But until we're going to do that, we you know, we've
Mm,
got to do what we've got to do. But you know, I
definitely.
don't care about my health, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, you will help me and you will believe me, and if not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm gonna kick up a stink.
Mm. No, that's very true, because that even took me back to when I had a medical concern, and I remember
Mm.
I went to the GP, and the GP was telling me it's not what I was telling the GP it was. I'm like, no, it is what I'm like. It
Yeah,
is what I'm telling
yeah,
you. And sometimes, you know,
yeah.
when we're in that situation, it can really
Mm.
stir us up and really get us quite
Of
angered. Where
course.
I'm telling you the physical
Mm.
symptoms, I'm telling you this is how I feel. Please don't tell me this is not how I feel.
Yeah,
So it's just all about knowing how to manage that, and to still
yeah,
kind of be strong within yourself, and, you know,
absolutely.
feel empowered. Because also I
Hmm.
find that when it comes to the medical profession, and no disrespect, even within the mental health profession, nobody's perfect. And
Yeah.
as a therapist, as a GP, we're not always going to get it right. We're not perfect. And, you know, this is why you need to feel empowered within yourself to
Yeah,
sometimes challenge your GP, or even challenge your therapist. And that's
absolutely.
healthy and that's normal.
Yeah,
And, you know,
yeah,
we're not God, so we can't
yeah,
really, you know,
yeah.
so, you know, just It's just about feeling empowered and, you know, feeling
Yeah,
motivational about your
absolutely.
decisions. But before we go, I want to ask you a question. How do you take care of your self-care before we leave?
Oh,
What are the things you
okay.
do?
Um, Again, I've said this a couple of times, but I really try and be intentional about it. So, and I swear this is not a plug, but like using things like journals and being able to, you know, I literally will schedule. I know it's gonna sound ridiculous. Like I'll schedule my bath. I'd schedule like, you know, I'm gonna have a long hot bath on this day at
Oh,
this time.
wow.
I've got 4 children, and you know, 19, 14, 10 and 2,
Wow.
all wanting different things all at the same time. I'm also we discussed in therapy today that I put unnecessary pressure on myself, so I want to be the mom that cooks and cleans and does all of that stuff, but I also want to be a boss. I also want to, you know, create websites and write books. So it's unrealistic, but that's me. And so for me, it's about, yeah, it's about kind of being intentional. How I navigate my own life is by trying to be incredibly organized. And you know, if anybody watches like my YouTube channel, you'll see like I've got a list for this and a chart for this and a schedule for this. But that's exactly how I'm able to survive. And I think and my self-care is also a part of that. So yeah, I make time for myself every single day. Even this now is time for myself, you know.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Honestly, it is. You know, I knew it was going to be a rich conversation, and as I said, like, you know, from doing the table, I've had so many incredible conversations with incredible people, and it's just like, it's like food to me. It really, really is. But yeah, I'm very, very intentional. And even like down to, I mean, things like I'll get up extra early so I can have a nice cup of tea and I don't have to wake up in chaos, you know, don't have to wake up with 2-year-old mommy and this, that and the other. You know, me and my husband, we wake up really early and we do yoga and we have a nice little chat. And so our mornings are very chilled and very calm. We have a calm before the storm, which is just
I like that phrase. Oh, well, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing those tips. And once again, thank you for joining me in today's conversation. Stay taking care of your mental health, and keep being great and keep advocating for us. You're doing amazing and we love you.
Thank you. Can I just say something to you?
Yeah, okay.
Can I just say, like, your platform is so incredibly important. I am so proud of you. I'm so grateful that you dedicate your time to doing something like this, because we need this. And you know, you're here showering me with all of these compliments, but you deserve your flowers too. Seriously, I'm so appreciative for your platform, and I'm definitely having you on the next season of The Table, by the way, because I love what you do. Come on.
Thank you.
But seriously, yeah. So thank you, and thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity as well. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah. Stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will. Take care, my darling.
You bye. Thank you, everybody who joined today's conversation. It was great keeping up with Jamelia and just talking about mental health in a healthy way and understanding how she takes care of her self-care. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation, and I will see you again next week with my interview on Wednesdays. Take care of your mental health, and I'll see you soon. Bye.